Hello and welcome to another video from Diversified Data Systems. I'm going to dive right in. I'm calling this video the benefits demo. And the goal here is to review the system, but I want to focus on the benefits to you. So here's this feature, but why should you care about this feature, right? So with that in mind, let's get started. What we're looking at here is the desktop view of the NeverOut WMS. WMS split into two worlds. There's the desktop world of entering orders and looking at reports, and then there's the mobile world of all the mobile transactions. So I'll be swapping back and forth between this. I have this mobile view here kind of mimicking an Android, a Honeywell or Zebra barcode scanner like that, and then the full screen. So benefit number one right off the bat, this is a fully hosted solution. So we take care of all the things that go along with that, server maintenance, patches, backups, all that good stuff, and you always have access to the latest and greatest version. Next thing I want to talk about is just the look and the feel. We believe this is a very intuitive system. It's not over-engineered. Everything is where you think it should and would be. So your item file is under File, Open Items, and so on and so forth. So we like to think we hit that perfect balance point between helping you avoid mistakes and having fail safes, but still providing a really powerful, useful tool to really help you do your job. Another thing here is that this is a 100% real-time system. So everything you do is recorded down to the millisecond, and most systems are nowadays, but it's still very important to mention because when you are making decisions with the data from this system, you are making decisions with the most up-to-date information you could have. There's not a stack of orders sitting in a basket somewhere. So I'm just going to run a quick loop through the system and just talk about, again, the benefits of all these features. I'm not going to go deep dive into each one. At any point, if anyone ever wants a one-on-one, feature-by-feature, tailored, demo to your workflow, we're more than happy to always provide those. So I set up this purchase order, and multiple ways to get orders into the system, whether it's entering them manually, importing them, whether we have an integration, or for all you 3PLs out there, we have several EDI transactions in the can already, and EDI is a really nice way to get orders into the system, so we support that. So I have this order set up for a couple different items, a regular item and a license plate based item, just because I want to show you the workflow differs a little bit between the two of them. So I'm going to go receive this purchase order. But before we do, right here on the login screen, a couple benefits right off the bat. Again, attention all 3PLs. We are multi-customer right off the box here. And then, of course, multi-warehouse within those multiple customers if you need it. And we're multilingual. So speaking to that intuitive nature that I mentioned earlier, this is a screen you could hand to a day one user, and they would have a pretty good idea of where to go, based on their job. So we're going to go receive this purchase order, which is why we're doing a PO receipt. So we can look up the order here, or you could scan it off paperwork if you had that. You're going to look up the item or scan it off the item or the paperwork if you have that. We're going to enter the quantity. Now, notice here this print button is not active right now. Sometimes things come in labeled with a meaningful, barcode that you can use, and that's great, but not always. And so this is the perfect opportunity during receipt here to print a barcode label because we already are collecting all the pertinent information. So you'll see this print button light up the second I give it what it needs. So I could print the label here. Next thing I'll show you is everything is, when you're moving back and forth in the system, we put thought into this. This is a benefit to all the users, is that everything is highlighted, ready for you to scan the next barcode. So if you weren't receiving to Rec Stage 01, or if you're going to put it right away, or just anywhere else, it's ready for you to scan a barcode. You don't have to tap and interact with the system. We're trying to reduce the amount of time you do that. But I am going to receive it to this receiving stage here. I'm going to move on to receive my next item. And I'm moving fast here because, again, I want to just go through the whole system. And if you need, again, a one-on-one, really in-depth demo, more than happy to provide it. So license plate here, this is a different workflow. It's asking me for the license plate. In a license plate world, you have a roll of pre-printed labels that we provide. So you would apply that license plate label here. You'd scan, it's got a big, nice scannable barcode on it. I set these up to be lot controlled to show you that. So you can see when something's lot controlled, it just brings up the lot control field. That first item was not, so it didn't. So I'm going to say I'm receiving 1 on LP1. And you can see now, because we know it knows we have one more to receive, it kept us in this item loop. You don't have to enter that item again. So that's another nice benefit. So now you're going to scan your next LP, and put it on the same lot, and 1. All right, now it's going to bring up our PO receipt, our receiving report here by default. That would you could have that print after every receipt. So now we're going to look at our inventory here. We got this all in the staging area. So now moving along, every item has a lot of things you control on an item by item basis, including whether it's license plated and or lot controlled. But it has this thing called the Putaway scheme and a home slot, which the Putaway scheme calls. So Putaway scheme, the big benefit of the Putaway scheme is it helps keep your warehouse organized. So whether you're a seasoned vet or a new person who doesn't know the layout, this is a really helpful tool is the Putaway logic, because the system knows all. So the system knows where the home slot is, and it knows where all of the other like items are, and so on and so forth. So a system can help you decide where to put things. So let's go do a quick Putaway here. So we're going to put away the regular item first, and you're going to see, whoops, this is the location it wants. Correct stage 01. And this would be a barcode scan. You're scanning this just like any other location. It wants to know what location, wants to know the item, and then how many you're going to put away. I'm going to put away both of them at the same time. And now here we call the Putaway logic. Here's the magic. It's going to suggest the home slot for us, which is TO1. Beautiful. We'll take that, confirm it when we get there, and we put them away. Now we're going to put away that LP. You'll see kind of the difference here. It doesn't care about the staging location. Just ask me to scan the LP. LP, and it knows everything about it. Again, I call the Putaway logic. Suggest AO1. I'll take that. Perfect. Scan the next LP. Same deal. I'll take that. So that is the Putaway. And you'll see here now everything's put away in storage. So another benefit of the Putaway logic can be found in the move. So I'm going to really quickly move one of these LPs out of AO1. Oops, let's count. And I should go back to the mobile view to show that. It looks better in the mobile view. Move. I'm going to move that LP to BO2. Now this is a perfect example. The system, you can leverage it in kind of a system-directed way where you're really kind of leaning on the system, asking it for a lot of help. Or if you're a power user and you just want to use this as a tool, then it can be more user-directed and you're telling the system what's going on. So the reason I did that is I wanted to show you one last thing with the Putaway logic, which was to show you that you can call the Putaway logic from a move. So if you were going through the warehouse kind of cleaning things up and you noticed that there was a straggler sitting in a location and you wanted to find like items in the warehouse, one way to do that would be with just calling the Putaway logic. So you can see here, I'm gonna say that I was walking around and I saw BO2 and I saw this sitting in BO2. I wanted to clean it up. So I'm going to again hit LP2. And now, rather than me telling you, I'm going to ask the system, hey, where are other like items like this? And it says there's one in AO1. Perfect. Now I know I can go to AO1. So that's a really cool way to call that Putaway logic in just a different spot in the system. So another, that same scenario in mind, if you found a straggler, another tool that I start to switch back and forth here, hopefully it's not too jarring, is just the inquiry function. So if you are a power user especially, you can learn a lot from the inquiry and really deduce a lot. So if you wanted to look up where all the LP lots were, you could see that. So a lot of really important information and things you can learn just depending on how you search and how you inquire on the warehouse and various things. So now we're really cooking with gas here. We've received things in, we've put them away, we've moved them, we've inquired on them. I won't show every single transaction here again because I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, but we've got a very nice cycle count feature, including a count manager that allows you to, on a warehouse or location or zone, which is just a group of locations, basis, set up count frequencies and schedule counts. And counts are probably one of the places where license plates shine the most because it's really fast. Normally in a count you're scanning item, lot if you're tracking it, and quantity for every single thing in there. Because the license plate already knows all that information, here I'll just count that real quick. What location were those license plates in? A01. So I'll show you this. This will take 1 second. So if I'm going to count the localPs of A01, right away it just asks me for a license plate. Doesn't care about the item or the lot or the quantity because that license plate represents all that. So I scan that first LP, boom, that's counted. So I've already counted that. That's how fast it is. Just one simple barcode scan to count that item in that location. So you could count an entire, if most of your inventory was license plated, you could count an entire warehouse incredibly quickly. So if I said I'm done here, it's going to say, no, you still have one to count. So I'm going to say, no. I'm going to count that other one. Oh, I missed that one. There it is. All right, there's LP2. Done. There, I counted that location. See how fast that was? So now I'm going to kind of switch gears very quickly here because we've got another workflow here that helps manufacturers. And that is, I don't know if you saw this earlier here, this bill of materials and this finished goods production. So I set up a bill of materials here quickly, and this is way oversimplified, but this is my finished good, and I'm creating one of them, and it takes 5 of this raw material to create one of these. Now, of course, you get multiple things, multiple lines normally on your bill of materials to create this one finished good, but I just wanted to show you very quickly how this works. So I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I don't have a purchase order for my raw materials. I need to get them into the warehouse. I'll just do a non-PO receipt. So I could tie it to a reference number here, a PO number or something of mine, and I'm just going to receive in some raw materials. Receiving 100 of them. I'm going to see them right away to their storage location. See how fast that was? All right, so now I've got this raw material also sitting in AO1. This is bad warehousing practices. I've mixed items in a location, but that's because I forced it that way. So again, it's a tool that you can use however you want. You can use it for help or you can overrule it, right? So now that I have my raw material, the 100 pounds of it, here in inventory, I'm going to move it. I'm going to go back to the mobile view here. Whoops, we got logged out. I'm going to move it from AO1, raw item. I'm going to move all 100 of it. And I'm going to move it to my WIP1, which is like, your line, your manufacturing line. So now 100 that has been moved, and now you start doing your thing, and you're issuing it to the line, and you're putting those raw materials through their process to create your finished good. And now you've got another user, or it could be the same person, I suppose, on the other end of the line, and now you're ready to report those finished goods being created. So you would go to your finished goods creator, and we're going to create one of these. So really quick before I do this, because it's important to drive the point home, you can see I've got 100 of these sitting at WIP1. And in my bill of materials, I said that to make one of these, I use 5 of these. So this automatic. So this is going to look really simple and maybe not as impressive, but it's this automatic backflash that once you get more complicated bill of materials and multiple, this is really useful, powerful feature. So I'm going to make one of these. Pick a printer here. Normally we'd be, printing to a real printer, right? Submit it. We're going to say we're done creating that. That's it. We just reported those finished goods being created. So now if I go look at my inventory here, it automatically reduced that 100 by the 5 that went into there. So without spending too much time on this manufacturing part, because this is at its heart an inventory system and a warehouse management system, but we have spent so much of the past 30 years working with manufacturers and people who make things and would really get good use out of a kind of basic bill of materials thing like this. So now that we've done all that, I want to show you real quick where we're at transaction history, which is one of my favorite reports. I'd mentioned that every single thing is written to an audit file and to the database, the millisecond it happens. And here's the view of that. So we do it kind of check ledger style. You can see that we take something from, minus it from a location and put it into a location. So pretty much everything has these kind of paired transactions that make it really easy to follow along. So final thing we need to do here in the system is pick, right? So I need to create a quick sales order here. I just want to show off how fast it is, I suppose, huh? You can even validate things like the trailer number and the serial number if you knew what they were going to be ahead of time. Or they can just be recorded at the time that the person's doing it. Depends on what you know ahead of time. So I'm just going to pick one of the items. Warehouse knows there's 2 on hand. That's always nice to know. And I'm going to ask for one of the LP lots. You could, right here, specify which LP you wanted them to pick, right? So you know what, I'm going to go say, because LP1 is one of them, right? Yeah, I'm going to force them to pick LP1. Some people do have need for that. All right. Now we're ready to go. Ready to go to our mobile view. We're going to pick. Same principle as receiving. If you had it to scan there, you could do it, or you could look it up. It knows the first item on the order, or it's, again, highlighted, ready for you to replace that if you wanted to pick a different item first. So it's going to suggest, it does one of the benefits to you, try to help you figure out where to go and try to send you on a logical pick path. So even if the item, in our world, you pick to a license plate. And if you're LTL, you're probably picking to a pallet. And if you're small parcel, you're picking to a case or a carton of some sort or something. And that's what we would apply our license plate to. So the same logic on the front end of receiving license plate applies here. You've got your pre-printed roll that's a picker, applies to the pallet or to the case or whatever it may be. So I'm going to make this one be P5. And now it's going to ask us to validate where we're getting it from. And we are getting it from TO1, as it's suggesting right here. And then we're asking us to validate the item. This is another place you're going to see the difference in the LP scheme versus an item lot quantity scheme. One more time, validate it, and we're good. Now it knows that LP lot is the next item on it. Now, unlike we already have a license plate here, so we don't have to enter a new pick to LP. We're just going to use the existing LP, and it again is making me pick LP1 here. It's complete. Now it's all been put. It's asking us to put it into a pick stage area, which most people do, and I'm going to do here as well. But if you didn't, if I received this rather than this pick stage right to a dock door, right out of a dock door, it would be considered a live load. So if you do live load, we fully support that. You would just scan the dock door location here instead of the pick stage. And that's not a real location. Let's go look up what our pick stage is. I did that just to show you. Pick stage 01, of course. That would normally be a barcode as well, right? So it's hard to make this mistake. There we go. Okay. Now that has been, I go back and look at my inventory here. Now we can see here that we've got this one, now it's on LP5 because we have a pick to LP, and this LP, both sitting in the pick stage, ready to go. Another good thing about picking to a license plate is then from there on out, if the people who are loading the truck don't have to waste their, because normally that's time. Time is money, and the guys don't want to sit there for too long while you're loading, right? So it really another benefit is that it really helps speed up loading time. So now we're going to do our last thing here, which is load the truck. was already there. All right, look up the order. Here's the only order that needs to be loaded right now. We pre-filled in the carrier, but again, that's waiting to be replaced if that changed. Here's where you could record the trailer number and the serial number, and now it's asking me which dock I'm going out. So it's scanned the dock door that I'm going out. Now it's all right. You're just scanning LPs onto the truck, right? So that first one was LP1, and then it was LP5 was the other one. So if I wanted to view the LPs that are in the pig stage, I could view them here and select them that way. Or you're looking at them, so you're just scanning them probably in this case. So that's it. The order has been loaded on the truck. Now it's going to ask me if I want to ship it. Some people actually will take one extra step of waiting for an admin or an office person to officially mark it as shipped once they've checked with the driver and everything is on the up and up. But most times this would be the moment where you would say, yes, I do want to ship it, which is going to cause a packing slip to be generated. So then a packing slip is going to automatically print. That's nice. Another benefit to you. And that's it. So now when I go look at my inventory here, we're going to see I only have one because I picked the other two of each of these, right? And we also can see my finished good being reported here. So that's it, guys. I don't want to take up any more of your time today. That's kind of the journey through the warehouse. We looked at everything. We looked at the reports. You can see here kind of the final result of the report. Is this showing this being shipped? With this dock door at this time, these LPs. So it's really powerful system. And I guess just to kind of one last thing here, because it exists outside the system. This is for all the 3PLs out there. So now you've done all of this using our great system here, but your customer doesn't have access to this system. Right? You don't want to pay for a license for them. We actually do have kind of mini licenses that let 3PLs enter orders into your system. So the 3PL would be able to actually access your PO and your SO entry. That's a mini license that we do sell. But in most cases, they don't really have access to any other parts of the system. So we created this web view. So if I refresh this here, this should show us a live look at the inventory. And here we are. Look at that. So this is available. You can provide links to your customers to give them, and I'm just on a web page here, the ability to have a live look, and this is, again, real time, updated the moment you do things in the warehouse. So the second you picked stuff, it was gone into their inventory, and they can, of course, export it to Excel or CSV or PDF and all that good stuff. So a system just full of benefits, full of 30 years of us working with warehouses and listening and learning and implementing features. And I hope you found this useful and educational, and I hope it kind of whet your appetite for NeverOut WMS in general. So again, thanks for your time. And if you do want a longer, more in-depth, personalized demo, please reach out to the sales team, and we'd be more than happy. Thanks much.